So you go out camping and you need to cut a piece of string or rope to tie your tent down, or to put up a tarp, or make a clothesline, or you need your knife. You know, your pocket knife, or the knife you put on your hip, or whichever knife you take camping. And lo and behold, it's dull and it won't hardly even cut. What do? You just throw the knife away? You bought a nice knife, it was perfectly sharp when you got it. Now you've had it for a while, you've used it a lot, and now it's dull. Do you take it into a knife sharpener? I've not ever seen a place that sharpens knives, but there probably is. But you gotta sharpen your knife, right? You don't just throw it away. Who's gonna spend $150 on a pocket knife, $250 on a pocket knife, and then just throw it away because it gets dull? You don't do that. So you sharpen them, right? I've got this one here, which is my pocket knife. This is the Osborne, Benchmade Osborne, little lock blade, and it flips out one-handed. It's about the perfect size for a guy's pocket, but it's starting to get a little dull. And then you guys have even seen this, where I've stopped using this knife because it wouldn't cut through the tendons in flank steak. This one right here. This is a Miki, M-I-K-I. Now, it's not great steel, it's just stainless steel, but it can be sharpened, and it's gotten really dull. Now, when you're sharpening a knife, and to test how sharp it is, don't ever run your finger down the blade to go, ooh, yeah, that's sharp. Don't do that. You'll cut yourself. Running your finger across it this way, you can feel if it has an edge or not, and hear it. It won't even cut down through that plastic. It just hasn't gotten... I haven't sharpened it since I bought it. I have sharpened this one a few times. But here is just a... it's not an expensive one. It's not a super cheap one. It's a Work Sharp with a 20-degree guide. A little leather strap on the back. It's got a coarse and a fine. There's your coarse edge and your fine, and this is like a diamond. They've got diamonds impregnated in it to help cut the steel. And then this is a ceramic fine tuning, getting it, I mean, like razor sharp. And then you can turn it when it gets wore. You can also turn it to where you can do fish hooks. There's little grooves in here where you can sharpen fish hooks really sharp. Real nice. We're going to be using that. Now, you know how to get 20 degrees? So a straight line would be considered 180 degrees, right? It's just a straight line. And if you went straight up from there, this angle here would be a 90-degree angle. If you cut that angle in half, you've got half of a 90-degree angle, which is a 45-degree angle. And if you cut that in half again, Now you have a 22.5 degree angle. And if you just take a little bit more off of that, you've got this 20 degree angle right here. Okay? So this 20 degree angle is the back side of a 160. This is actually 160 degrees this way, going that way. That whole angle is 160 degrees. The 20 degree angle has been considered just the standard go-to for sharpening knives. So in order how to use this guide, if you lay your blade right up against this guide, that is the angle that you should be sharpening. As you come down through here, you keep your knife at that same angle. And you can double check it every once in a while. Okay, so I'm going to sit here and sharpen this, and you can see how I do it. And we're on the coarse side right now, the real rough side. And that's for taking off big pieces of steel. You can't see them, but they're bigger compared to smaller. And then you can look down the edge of the blade, and you can see if you're doing it even or not, where the new metal is showing. You can tell. Yeah. And you can see about how even you are on each side. And you want them to be even. Where the new metal is, how thick that new metal is here, should be the same thickness that it is over here. If you sharpen more on one side than the other, then as your knife goes through cheese or meat, it'll want to start bending, cutting crooked. So you want to make sure it's even on both sides so your knife cuts straight. Okay, now we're going to switch over here to the fine side. And there's not as much downward pressure on the knife this time. On the coarse side, I was pushing down really hard pushing the blade down onto the stone really hard. When I go to the softer side, I don't push so hard. Right now, what I'm trying to do is take the big gashes in the steel and file that down. Basically, you're filing it down with a rock to make it smooth. make it smooth and come to a fine tip, which is what makes it sharp. Yeah. You can see that I'm constantly checking against my guide to make sure that I've got my blade at the correct angle against the rock. What the leather strap does is, as you're running the knife across the stone, if you had a microscope, you could see some of the very tip metal bent back, rolled back over onto the blade. And what this leather strap does is takes that metal that's curled back, and as you run your blade backwards on it, and only run your blade backwards on the leather, it'll curl those little slivers back out towards the point, and the leather actually does help pull those little bitty slivers off, which can cause your blade to seem dull. And you're doing it at about the same angle that you were sharpening it. Oh man, it doesn't take a lot to sharpen a knife, especially like a stainless steel knife. The stainless steel also doesn't hold its edge for a real long time. It'll get dull fast. Now I'm on the ceramic, and I'm just letting the blade hit it and run across it. This also has the 20 degree. That'll cut anything right now. Anything other than metal. It'll cut wood, leather, fish, cheese, meat. And that's what this is my cooking blade. It almost looks like an overgrown shaver, doesn't it? Okay. Done. You would think that a knife that came out of Japan wouldn't have stainless steel on it. They make some of the best knife steel in Japan. Stainless steel is not it. Hey now, let's get to our good old pocket knife. Now I knew this was dull the other day. My wife had something that was wrapped up with, maybe it was flowers, that was wrapped up with a, what do you call it? Bow. With a type of bow material. That they wrap presents with and whatnot. Ribbon. There you go, not bow. Ribbon. But the ribbon had a steel cable on one side of it. And I didn't know it, and I was trying to cut through that. And I thought, why is my knife not cutting through there? Until I started paying attention, and I realized it was a metal wire running through there. And my knife wasn't just cutting through it. Then I tried cutting the other part of the ribbon, and it wasn't wanting to cut it. I was like, okay, I dulled my knife on that steel. So let's make her sharp again. On the coarse side, we're putting a lot of pressure. Now you don't have to spend too long on the coarse side if your blade's already pretty sharp. You're just wanting to even everything down real quick. Now you can really see where the fresh metal is on this blade because it's black. Okay, even all the way up and down. Now we're going to this side, the fine grit side. And here we're going to spend a little bit more time on this side. And because your blade is curved, you can't just sharpen it at the same angle, or you'll just be using the very edge of it. So you gotta lift your knife up when you come out here towards the tip. And then as you go back down, you're flattening your knife back out again. Okay? The right angle. Because you do want that tip to be really sharp. You don't do most of your cutting back here. But when you do have to get back here, close to your hand, that's when you're cutting a big old piece of rope or something. That's when you use this back edge of your knife. 95% of the time, you're using this little curved edge right up here to do most of your cutting. And inspect your work every once in a while. Make sure you're still even. You're not sharpening more out here than you are back here. You want it to be the same, that new metal line the same all the way up and down. And if you notice you're sharpening more on one side than the other, just move to that area and get it even again. Here we're not putting as much pressure on the fine grit side, but we are running the blade across it more. Be careful not to cut your hand. Always take your time, pay attention to what you're doing, and don't be in a place where you can be distracted when you're running a blade right up against your thumb or fingers, or it could slip off with a little pressure and just cut the crap out of you. Pay attention, keep your fingers out of the way. Ask me how I know. Ask me how many times I've cut myself sharpening knives. And you can clean these, you clean them with water. These sharpeners. Now, my grandpa and my dad showed me that one way you can tell if your blade's pretty sharp. There's a little chipmunk like 5 feet from me right now. He's just looking at me saying, "Hey, what are you doing, man?" What are you doing? You just checking it all out? He's coming right up here to me. Hi. What you doing over there? I can see you. Hello. If I had something for you to snack on, I'd give it to you. I would. Hi. How are you? He just came up and put his hands right on my hand. How awesome. Okay. This is one way you can tell if your knife's getting sharp. Just take the back side of your hand where you've got some hair there and just try and shave the hair off of it. If it's not shaving the hair, you're not there yet. So back to the wet rock. Well, the diamond rock. Hi. How are you? He said, you don't have anything in your hands. Nope, I don't. You sure are cute. Yeah, you are. You're a pretty little chipmunk. Yeah, you watching what I'm doing too? He said, what you got on the table, mister? What you got on the table, mister? Huh? You want to check this hand? There you are. Hi. A little better. Sharp enough, baby. I want to keep some hair on my hand. Okay, now you know. Go sharpen your knives. You can get these at Bass Pro, Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, I think Big 5 Sporting Goods. Most of your big sporting goods stores, you can get these knife sharpeners. I think this one was about 30 or 40 bucks. What my grandpa and my dad always used was what's called an Arkansas wet rock. And it had a coarse and a fine side. And then they just used an old belt as a strop. They called it a strop. Okay. See, there's a sweat bee right there. And he's just combing, trying to find some moisture.